Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending or where you are in the world. Be very welcome to this free screening of the documentary Vision 2020 from Eyesight to Insight. And as you can see, I have the pleasure and the joy to be here today with Nathan Oxenfeld, one of the producers of the film. And we would like to take a few minutes before we push the play button on the film to let some other people come and join us for watching the film. And I would like to ask you a little bit or tell you a little bit also about Nathan, our collaborations. I'd like to ask Nathan about the intention of this documentary film. And yeah, maybe we can take a few minutes to talk about these things before we start. So, Nathan, thank you for being here. Very, very welcome. Happy New Year to you and everyone else.
Thank you.
So we have the joy to start the year showing this documentary that you
Mm.
carefully crafted with Barry Ockertel and Craig. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Like I think
Lead. Yeah.
Lee.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about it. It's a documentary that was released in 2020, the 100th anniversary of Bates' works on natural vision improvement, but there's certainly more to it. So tell us about it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ainhoa, for the opportunity to be here and to share the film today. I think it's a really great time to do that. The beginning of a new year, kind of inspiring people to think about their goals with their vision and their lives in general. And that was really kind of a big mission behind us wanting to create this film in the first place, was to just raise awareness, first of all, that natural vision improvement exists, that there are these alternatives to the conventional approach to eye care, and that it can be really simple and it can really work for a lot of people. And we wanted to hear from a sort of a global community of vision teachers like you and me, and actually hearing their experience, not only with their vision improvement journey, but also the dozens, hundreds, thousands of people each one of these teachers has worked with over the years. So it's really this opportunity to get, whether you're brand new to this or you actually already have experience to it, to really get a great introduction to basically what it is, how it works, how to get involved, and ultimately to help get you inspired. Because
Mhm.
part of the healing process involves our belief in our own self-healing. And I know when I was going through the process of working with my vision naturally, sometimes I was having trouble with it. I felt kind of isolated, a little alone. I didn't really feel like I had a lot of support with it. And so I kind of wish I would have had something like this film to watch to kind of lift my spirits and like give me a lot of hope of
Mhm.
really what's possible with all these different people. Um, so yeah, like you said, we did put it out in 2020. Barry and I came up with this idea to travel around and actually visit these different teachers, either at their locations around the world or at a vision conference where a lot of these vision teachers are all together in one place anyway. So we were able to get a bunch of interviews done there and kind of put it together into a little bit of a story, or like different chapters that kind of guides you through this process. Um, and so yeah, it's been out there for a couple years now, and it's been really not only inspiring people but actually like helping people. Barry and I last year did an in-person screening of the film in New York City.
Ah,
And
great.
yeah, because Barry originally is from Australia, and so that was part of the challenge of making the film, was me in America, him in Australia, like coordinating, teaming up these interviews and working together from around the world. But he was in the U.S., so we met up in New York City, did a showing of the film, and one woman in the back of the room took our invitation or our challenge to actually view the film with her glasses off.
Yay. Uh-huh.
And by the end of the 1 hour and 16-minute film, she was actually seeing better than before. She could see the screen more clearly. She could see people's faces with more detail. And so there's also this like experiential aspect of the film potentially as well, that hopefully you'll see as we get into it, that it isn't just, talking about it. It's also, you've got some opportunities to actually implement it,
Practice.
try it
Yeah.
out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great and beautiful. And it's so I'd like to bounce on a few of the things that you said as an introduction. So absolutely, this film does a great job in inspiring, opening up to believe what the opportunity is, what's possible. And of course that fires motivation, because when you see that it's possible, then you're more likely to go and do what you need to be doing so that the change can happen. Absolutely. And also this film that you created with Barry, that was shown in 2020 for the first time, was like part of a constellation of celebrations. And there was a huge movement happening in 2020 in the community of natural vision teachers all around the world. We got together into a global WhatsApp group, and plenty of networking and collaboration started happening. There was this film, of course. There was one summit, a one-day summit in October that you organized. On my side, I also did a couple of summits, or week-long summits, one in Spanish, one in English, gathering also in Spanish, it was like 23 experts from 11 countries. In English, it was 30 experts from 20 countries. And we were crisscrossing like all these actions to put natural vision improvement out there at the same time as the world was shutting down with the lockdowns and the pandemic and everything. And all this information became even more important and relevant, because during that time, a lot of people had their vision problems increase or appear because of the conditions of the time. And there was also a rise and an increase of the use of screens, with all the caveats, all the things that you have to take care of when you're looking at screens. So we actually got to know each other in the middle of this very enthusiastic moment of the community. We hadn't had the chance to meet, you and I. And the idea, actually, it was Maurizio who suggested for me to contact you, see if I could be in the documentary, but things happened a little bit too late for that. And but we took the opportunity to keep on collaborating in other places. So, for example, I translated the documentary in Spanish so that it can be viewed in the Spanish-speaking world. But we've done also a number of things since then, you and I, and I'm very, very happy about it.
I know, yeah, and like, we really wished we could have had you more involved in the film project, but yeah, just with the timing of, kind of already beginning the editing process and all that. But we kind of had already talked about either doing some maybe part 2 or some multi-part series of this, because I mean, there's so many more teachers around the world,
Absolutely,
than we can fit in one film. But I don't know if you want to mention real quick the sort of the next manifestation of that. Instead of in film format, we have been collaborating and working together on like a book, a multi-author book, or an anthology about natural vision improvement.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to kind of like tease that a bit, or just mention
it. Sure. Actually, I had been. It was a very organic process. I had been talking about it with another colleague, Orit Kruglansky. She's from Israel but lives in Spain, and she's the author of a beautiful, amazing book for kids. I See Clearly, I think it's the title in English. And because of the summits and all the people that had been talking there, and she always was like, you should make a book out of this. You should transform this into a book format. And but then the conversation started happening in the WhatsApp group of the worldwide community of natural vision improvements. And I think we were ready. Orit, you and I were ready to take the lead on this book. And actually we're working on it right now. We've had, I don't know, 30 people submit their chapters, proposals at least. And so this year we're going to be editing that, and we're very excited, the three of us. So we hope that very soon we will have another product showcasing this amazing community and this beautiful work that all of us collectively are doing to help people take care of their eyes and improve their eyesight naturally. And all these activities synergize and create the kind of movement that we want to bring out there in the world, so that more and more people know about this opportunity, and then they can choose. They want to wear glasses, it's okay. They want surgery, sometimes it's useful, necessary, and it's everybody's choice. But it's important to know that you can also learn how to take care of your eyes, learn new habits, new routines, and improve your eyesight day by day. And as you said, on the 7th of January, when people are writing their lists of the to-dos to make the year better, maybe you want to add this one and transform your life, because when you see better, the impact is really, really great, really deep.
And it's just been so fun to get this information out in so many different formats and channels. Whether it's this film we're about to show, or this book that we're working on putting out, or the podcasts that we release, that people can just listen to on their commute or on their walk. And like, how amazing is it now, 100 years after this was originally developed, before a lot of these formats even existed, and now it's so much more accessible. And that just really makes me happy to think about making it easier for people to access this and learn learn it correctly, learn the right way to do it from professionals.
Absolutely. And another colleague and you, Esther van der Werf, and you decided to revive all the articles from William Bates, and have them revisited by members of the community. So I think it's once a month, you're inviting a guest, and either Esther or you are reading the texts and then having a debate and comment on them. And that's lots of fun. I've had the chance to be there a couple times, and there's another one coming soon. And then also you have a podcast in YouTube you've had it for a very long time. The Naked Eye podcast, I think it is.
Yeah, the Naked Eye podcast. And then the one with Esther is the Better Eyesight podcast. And
yes, and there's another colleague, Claudia Muldeweg, who also has a very interesting YouTube channel where she's also interviewing many of us regularly. So we're mentioning. Thank you for mentioning the name, because I didn't remember. But so we're here to show that natural vision improvement is out there. Vision educators, we have been around for over 100 years now. There's great experts all over the world. It works, and this is an invitation for you to try for yourself. And and there's a lot of choice. And if this is something that's interesting for you, we'll be very, very happy to provide the opportunities and the context and the formats so that you can keep learning and improving your eyesight. Okay, so at this moment we have over 200 people, 223. From experience, it will probably keep growing over time. And we have a chat, so if you want to, if as you're watching the film, some questions emerge, you can type in the chat. It's being broadcasted in Facebook and YouTube at the same time, but we can see the questions from both. So go ahead and ask your questions. And at the end of the film, Nathan and I will stay for a while to discuss with you. And if you want some next steps, we can guide you a little bit as well. So what do you say, Nathan? Shall we push the play button, or is there anything else?
And I will invite everybody here today, since this will, I think you mentioned, be still available, for a week after we show it today. So if you do want to actually use today as an opportunity to potentially improve your vision, I am once again going to invite you or challenge you to maybe view either the entire film or parts of the film without glasses or contacts, and really absorb the information and kind of go along with it. And you may actually see your vision improve right here, right now, with the help of the film. Otherwise, you're welcome to keep your lenses on. If you just want to watch the movie, that's okay too. So that it's sort of a multi-purpose thing. It can either be for, just
Mhm.
kind of learning it, or if you really want to be a little more experimental, experiential, you're welcome to do so as well.
Yeah, and since the film is going to be out there for a little while, you can also share what you've discovered with your beloved ones. If you think this is going to be useful for anyone that you know, we are delighted that you can share the link. Yay, Patty is like, glasses off. Very good. Congratulations, Patty. Okay, so let's do it.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
Okay, so here we go.
Have you ever wondered why so many people wear spectacles? Why is it that the average person's eyes get worse and worse with each passing year? Why do we need to get stronger and stronger lenses in order to have good vision? This documentary will share the stories of how people all over the world are improving not only their physical vision, but the way they see life. Our story starts on the Gold Coast of Australia. Barry Orcatel is a vision educator who has been helping people improve their vision using natural means for more than 30 years.
My journey started when I was 32 and I was wearing these thick Coke bottle glasses with minus 4.75 prescription for seeing, plus I needed about a +2 for reading, and there was astigmatism as well. And I was told when I was 32 that I had an eyesight of someone in their 40s. And I started experimenting with some of the exercises, and after 2 months I managed to get back into single lenses, and I've never needed glasses for reading again in the last 20 years. 4 months later I passed a driver's license with 20/20 vision. I can remember the first time I actually went the whole day without wearing my glasses. It was so exciting. 2 weeks later they found a pituitary tumour sitting on my optic nerve, and they told me you shouldn't be able to see that. And I said, but I've been doing these exercises and things like that. And so there's been a journey for me, not only in terms of my physical eyesight, but in terms of my life. As I sort of got further and further into improving my own eyesight, other people kept asking me, how do you do this, how do you do this? And so I started running vision classes locally, and then interstate, and then internationally. And I ended up doing a Masters of Education, specifically looking at the effect computers have on eyesight and what we can do about it.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Nathan Oxenfeld, also a vision educator like Barry, is surprised at how little natural eye improvement is being used by the public.
When I first heard that you could improve your vision naturally, I thought it was a little too good to be true, because I had already been wearing glasses and contacts every day for over a decade for my myopia or nearsightedness and astigmatism. I found a book called Perfect Sight Without Glasses that was published 100 years ago in 1920, which is what led me to work with my vision teacher, Dr. Jerry Ann Tabor. And once I improved my own eyes, I wanted to help as many other people as I could to improve theirs. So I actually went through Dr. Tabor's teacher training program to become a certified vision educator. I published a book called Give Up Your Glasses for Good, began a YouTube channel, and started a podcast, and led workshops, classes, and retreats all around the world. And it was at one of these conferences where I met Barry Orcatel from Australia. And we both felt like there was just so much more that could be done in this field.
I'm off to America to see Nathan again What Nathan and I are going to be doing is catching up with all the vision educators in America and in Europe, and to get to see from them what we can do about improving our own physical eyesight.
Hi, I'm Claudia Mühlenweg and I'm a vision educator from Los Angeles.
So my name is Pascio Roberto Kaplan and I'm a vision educator optometrist, former optometrist. I now live in Germany. I'm from South Africa.
Nathan and Barry are interviewing some of the top vision educators in the world. These people have dedicated their lives to improving the vision of others and have developed a wealth of knowledge which we will be tapping into. The field is growing as more and more people search for ways to improve their eyesight.
So I had heard of Bates in school, and we were lectured very strongly about not even paying any attention to it because it was not scientific and incorrect. But maybe 10 years after I graduated school, I happened to run into a book on Bates. And at the time, I was involved in Tai Chi and yoga and meditation. And as I kind of thumbed through the book, I said, well, this is like Tai Chi and this is like yoga, and I'm an optometrist and I'm myopic. Let me try an experiment to see if it works. And that was how I started.
I was born with cataracts. It's very, very unusual. There are many people with cataracts. I would say that something like 75% of the people at the age of 80 either already had cataracts or having cataracts. But only 1 out of 20,000 infants are ever born with it. There was a working theory in my time that you remove parts of the lens rather than the whole lens. And 99% of my lens is scar tissue. This is a normal lens, and this is mine after 5 cataract surgeries. So 99% of my lens is scar tissue. I was able to build up enough vision with which I can read, write, and drive. And I blew up my driver's license so everybody can see it. I don't care about privacy. I don't have it anyway.
I was wearing glasses for 20-something years, and I had myopia. And I didn't have a clue that you could improve your eyesight in another way. So glasses were for me the way to see clearly. And then I met Amelia Salvador and I did several sessions with her. She taught me the Bates method and I practiced and I noticed I was improving.
I was legally blind without glasses. Without glasses, I couldn't see the big E on the eye chart. But now, I'll be 64 this year, I can see up close everything I need to, and I can pass a driving test without glasses. So I am glasses free 99% of my waking life. I do have a very slight prescription for glasses for driving at night, and I started wearing glasses in 3rd grade.
My personal experience is that I was very short-sighted from age 6 to age 30, then read a book of a scholar of William Bates, which I by accident found. The work with the book was not very successful, but I took it with me on a journey in Asia, Sri Lanka. And there I couldn't wear my contact lenses anymore, and I remember to a sentence in this book, under good circumstances, the visual energy could grow from itself. So I took away my glasses, made the whole journey about 4 months in Sri Lanka and Nepal without glasses. And after that, 2 years needed no glasses at all.
I had trouble seeing at school and squinting to see the television type of thing. My parents noticed and sent me to an optometrist. I came home with a pair of glasses. Typical, right? Story that so many people have. And I went to school with the glasses and found that, one, I got teased, I got asked questions, they were uncomfortable. I found that behind this barrier, I felt like I was no longer part of the world, no longer a participant, but more like an observer hidden behind this weird thing on the top of my nose. So that's what I couldn't get used to. And it was such mild myopia that the glasses really only made a small difference. I figured I could do without. So after a few weeks of trying to get comfortable with them. I just like, forget it. I tossed them. And I think I told my parents I lost them. I was still living with my parents at the time. They weren't too impressed. They just paid for them. And of course, I ended up squinting through life because I had slightly blurry vision, didn't know what to do about it other than if I did this, I saw a little better. So that's what I ended up doing. And it worked for 16 years.
I had what's called a convergent squint. My right eye was going in and I was farsighted. And I hated my glasses. They made me miserable. I got bullied and teased, and just my whole life made me even more shy. So once I got older, I actually found this book on vision improvement, and I started doing some of the techniques, and I saw improvements. But then I forgot all about it. And then at the end of my marriage, when that fell apart, and I actually went through a really horrible divorce, my vision just tanked. It got really, really bad. And I remember one particular day where I was driving and I got lost in a sketchy part of town. And back in the day, there was no Google Maps, right? So I had to pull up this old, it's called the Thomas Guide in LA. It's teeny print. And even with my glasses, everything was blurry. I couldn't see anything. I took them off. So I panicked. I thought, if I lose my vision, if it's getting worse and worse at that speed, I'm going to lose my job. I was a designer back then. So, you can't work as a designer when you can't see. So I remember that book and I pulled it out. But the biggest epiphany I really had was that it wasn't just good vision habits and vision practices, but that the emotional component, like I was sleep deprived, I was stressed out all the time, I was lonely and I didn't like, where I was at. I didn't feel connected to people, like glasses were this barrier. So I realized then that it's way bigger than just what eye exercises.
And your brain is flexible, your visual system is flexible, your auditory system also is flexible, and there is a rigid concept that people have that things cannot be changed. And so this is a very important thing for us to know, that first of all, vision can improve, but also things in life can change. And most people don't believe that that's the case.
I had a chance to participate in the training course for vision teachers, and I became a teacher, and then I became enrolled in this, and I'm passionate about it. At the beginning, I was afraid of having people with huge problems, like pathologies or something like that. But in the end, I have learned that everybody can benefit from this. Everybody can have improvement. This is real benefit, not only for the eyes, but also for the mind, for the body, for the way you live, the way you see the world, and even children. I love to work with children too.
Wearing glasses is that you are not seeing the real world. The world is made to be seen without glasses. And you can have a different point of view. And it depends on you. It depends on how you feel, on how you are in every moment.
There was one 52-year-old man who was farsighted and presbyopic, which is having to use reading glasses after the age of 40 or 45. And he said, I hate glasses, and that's why I'm here. And I thought, I wonder what could help him special. So I came up with an aspect of vision, and I wondered if I manipulated it in some way, triggered it in some way, whether it would actually improve his ability to read without glasses, and if it improved him doing it during the exercise, maybe it would carry over so he wouldn't have to wear glasses. And so I made a particular eye exercise chart for him and taught it to him. And he came back the next week, and I was excited to see what he would say. And he said, I said, how's it going? He said, I'd like 5 more charts. I said, why? Thinking he wanted one for his wife. And I said, why? He said, I love the exercise. Not everybody has an easy time with it, but he said it makes my eyes feel strong. They feel better. I want to do it all the time, every time I have a chance. And he said, I want a chart for the kitchen, and I want one for the TV room, for the bedroom, for the bathroom, one at work where I can do it during the day. And so the next week he came and I said, how's it going? He said, for 3 days, so 11 days after he started, I don't have to wear glasses for reading. I read all day long at work. I can see without my distance glasses perfectly. And he went from at 20/50 to start with, and now he could see 20/25. Good enough to read the phone book and to read the small print in the newspaper. So he was really happy, and I was totally amazed that in 11 days he could turn around this situation. 3 years later, he came to my office and he saw even better. He saw 20/20 and near 20/25.
I met Ray Gottlieb in 1979, and he introduced me to the Bates process. And at that point, I was a professor of optometry at Pacific University and in Oregon, and natural vision improvement was not something I'd ever considered. My specialty is vision therapy, optometric vision therapy. But with his introduction to what he did for his own myopia, and also meeting Jakob Lieberman, who also had success with his astigmatism and his myopia, when my patients came into the clinic and said, "Can you help me see better?" I thought, well, why not try it? And so I launched a number of studies. The most important thing about the studies was that eyesight improvement could occur in 3 weeks, statistically significant results. And that's published in my book, Seeing Without Glasses.
Well, I was skeptical because somewhere in that 16 years of my blurry vision, I tried eye exercises. And I tried them for several weeks, every day, really religiously went and did that. Didn't work at all. And I thought I was doing the Bates method, but it had absolutely no result. It was boring and tedious, and so I gave up. And I became one of the many skeptics that said, Bates method doesn't work, eyesight improvement doesn't work. Until 8 years later, I came across a different book, and that book had a different concept. It wasn't about eye exercises, it was about relaxing your eyes. How do you use your eyes all day long? And that made a big difference. Once I grasped that concept and started using it, within 2 weeks I was back to 20/20 vision.
I wore glasses for 10 years, and within 6 months I was seeing clearly. I remember being in the mountains with my family, camping, being in a swimming pool, looking around, and all of a sudden I looked and went, oh my gosh, I'm seeing everything clear. And I've been doing it for 47 years and still seeing clearly.
I was highly myopic as a child, starting in 2nd grade, and discovered vision improvement in my 20s and took some classes and had a really good time, learned a lot. And then 15 years later, I developed an eye disease, which necessitated surgeries, and I had some vision shifting and some vision loss with surgeries. So after that, I rediscovered vision improvement because I wanted to recapture my vision after my procedures. And I successfully transformed my vision from 2400 to 2100 using natural vision improvement techniques.
I wore glasses when I was 13 for nearsightedness, and then the glasses gradually got stronger. And then when I was studying to be an orthoptist at Moorfields in London, I wanted the strongest possible contacts, and it was actually a bit much seeing 20/10, I realized. So that was an interesting experience. Then I came to the US and I studied yoga, and I stopped wearing contacts, and I met a Bates teacher, and he taught me how to get out of my glasses, and then I started teaching it. And I just want to tell you, my first student was a boy of 9, and he came in because he'd failed the vision test at school, and he was seeing 20/40, poor 20/40. And so I sent him away with some activities, and in 2 weeks he came back and he was seeing 20/20, a really good 20/20, and I was so encouraged. It got me turned from the orthoptics and ortho way of looking at vision, or allopathic way, to, oh yes, this is possible for more people than just me.
The Bates method is a form of vision training or vision therapy that was developed by an ophthalmologist about 100 years ago now. He lived from 1860 to 1931, Dr. William Bates. He was based in New York City, and he started off just as like a conventional eye doctor, prescribing glasses and performing surgeries. But he was really one of the first people to really question glasses as being like the best solution. He really wondered, he saw that what I saw, which was that he would prescribe glasses to people and then they would come back and need stronger and stronger glasses over time. And that got him scratching his head wondering, is this really the best way to treat vision problems? It seems to actually be making them worse over time.
My dad was an accountant, and he said, what do optometrists do? And I said, well, you know, we come in, we examine your eyes, we give you prescriptions for glasses or contacts, we check for eye disease, and then the people thank us and pay us. And he goes, okay. Then they come back a year or two later, and what happens in over 75% of the cases? They come back a year or two later, and we examine them and check it, and then they need stronger glasses. So he goes, let me get this straight. You give them something, and they thank you and pay you. I go, yes. And they come back. I go, yes. And they thank you and pay you again. I go, yes. He goes, you mean you give them something and it gets worse and they come back? I go, yes. He goes, this is a very good profession.
The optometric profession right now stopped calling it myopia control. They call it myopia management. Why? Because myopia control failed. They don't have a solution. They are working with axial length, they are working with flattening the cornea, and they're working with drops, 3 primary approaches. We manage myopia.
Neuroscience has demonstrated the neuroplasticity of the brain, and eyes are part of the brain. That's the thing, the problem with current traditional eye care. They only look at the eyeball as if it's like this thing that you can take out of, I can take it out of my eye and there can observe it and that's it. But the reality is that we are driven by the nervous system. So the brain is really in charge of muscle tension, of coordination. And so any vision problems can be completely changed. Like you can change your brain, your eyes can be changed.
Embryologically, physiologically, and neurologically, the eye is brain tissue. In multiple personality disorders, all the different personalities had different prescriptions. So when you improve your vision, you're working on your mind-body connection. It has effects on your posture, it has effects on your attitudes and belief systems in the world, and your personality. So I feel that vision therapy is one of the most powerful modalities to help change who you are, and how you see the world.
The eye is only the printer of our inner perceptions. And so you don't focus on the printer when you're working with your computer. You focus on the software, and the perceptions are the software. And so my wish for people is to first recognize that the eye is only a light receiver and a transmitter, and that we see through the eye. And therefore, if there's an eye problem, we first work with perceptions, and later the eye catches up and prints out exactly what the new perceptions are.
Dr. William Bates put forth this notion that nearly all vision problems are caused by strain. Not only physical strain, but mental strain. And the opposite of strain happens to be relaxation. So nearly everything in the Bates method, if not everything in the Bates method, is built on this platform that relaxed eyes are normal eyes and they see better than strained eyes, as well as strained minds. So it's a system of relaxation is the simplest way you can think about it.
Only relaxed eyes really see clear. And without relaxation, you may try hard, and the more you try hard making exercises, the worse it gets.
For example, if you are reading and you don't see properly, breathe and close your eyes. Close your eyes is really effective. And then breathe, and then open them again. It's like reset your focus. Don't start trying to focus, because then you are going to interfere. You are going to interfere with tension. Close your eyes, breathe, and open again. Give your eyes another chance to do it better.
If we're nervous, stressed, tight, our body and muscles tighten up. And because of the limitation of blood flow, energy, chi to our body, it also limits the flow of energy to our eyes and brain, and everything can become tight. And if we stay in this chronic state of tightness and stress, the whole visual system can become more constricted.
Those magic eye picture books that I do, for you to be able to just let your eyes gaze effortlessly at it, then all of a sudden a hidden image comes out. Letting the images come to you and not you going to the image.
A violinist that I worked with, she was, doing the activities and her vision was gradually getting better. She's very auditory, and Bates said if you relax one of the senses, they all relax. And I thought that was an outrageous statement when I read it, actually. And I said, okay, well, let's try this. I said, can you remember A, the note A? Since, as a violinist, we all tune to them. And she said, yeah. I said, okay, so see if you can remember A and look at the print. She was presbyopic. And she took a minute, and I said, well, you might need to blink, And she went, and it was super clear. And she got it, and she read all the way down to the tiny print. And she was flabbergasted, and I was thrilled. And I said, okay, so practice that, and then you'll get used to the fact that you can read it. And then the doubt will go away, and you'll just relax. Because really, it was clear, when we get the experience of seeing perfectly clearly, we start to trust that we can. Because a lot of us are afraid we're not going to see something. And what we need to do is trust that we will. And then we relax, and we do.
Sit in front of an eye chart at a distance where most of it is clear, and start thinking of anything that tenses you, bills that need to be paid, an argument you've had, and look at that chart and say, a little less clear. And then start thinking about, my next vacation, or something happy, something joyful, a baby's face. And you'll see the chart clears up because your thoughts are happy.
Getting the eye and mind connection going again, and that's what the Bates method is all about.
A very, very simple thing to do. Remove their glasses, check their eyesight, sit down and have a friendly conversation over a cup of tea for 20 minutes or so, and then recheck their eyesight on the same or a different chart. Routinely, you will see perhaps a 2 to 3 line improvement in less than 30 minutes.
I've learned that I'm teaching or helping people to relax.
So you're going to rub your hands, and then you're going to cup them like you've got some eggs, and you're going to place them, the palms of your hands, over your closed eyes like this. Only for about less than a minute we're going to do, and then when you're finished, I'm going to get you to drop your hands, and with your 2 fingers, just touch the corners of your eyes, allow your hands to drop, and then open your eyes again. Right? It's going to be that simple. If I'm going to say, have you improved your eyes, you need to know what your eyes are. So have a look around, have a look up something close, see if there is a difference in something. Okay, so let's all do this now. Let's rub our hands. And let's cup our hands as if we've got 2 eggs in them, and we're going to place them over our eyes. And we're just going to breathe for a moment. And I just want you to be aware, is it hot or cold? Is it tingly? Do you see all black, or do you see colours, or do you see shapes? Whatever it is, just bring your awareness to it. And I also want you to bring your awareness to how you're feeling right now. And just let yourself relax just a little bit more. Maybe even drop your shoulders a little bit if you can. And then very slowly, just allow your hands to drop. And then very gently, just open your eyes and have a look around. And I'll just have a show of hands if anyone's noticed any difference in that 1-minute exercise. Have a look around the room, the hands up in the room. There's probably over 50% of people have had a shift in 1 minute. It's not bad, is it?
When you wear glasses, your eyes get worse. They never get better. They don't improve. They always seem to need to have the next stronger pair, the next stronger pair, and you don't even have to tell people that, they know it.
And so the glasses really create more of a problem. And typically, people that use glasses find that within a year or so, or a year or two, they will need slightly stronger glasses. And it keeps going in that same fashion, worse, worse, worse vision over time. And that's a shame, because it could be turned around by not using the glasses.
Glasses are a tool. They may help you, but you pay, or you always pay for that help. By using glasses, you always go into a pattern of tension, and that pattern stays, never changes. The glasses are like something that frees a situation, and a situation of tension that can only get more and more. If they are not necessary, then it's much better not to use them, or to use reduced lenses.
When you experience blurry vision, it's like your system or your body is sending you a signal saying, hey, something's wrong. You're not seeing correctly. And when you put glasses on, you're essentially sending the signal back like, hey, shut up. There's no problem, I can see again. And so you've ignored the original root cause of the issue. And they are prescription glasses, so it is a prescription that becomes very addictive and very habit forming. And I've met so many people who their vision, right when they start to use the glasses, their vision immediately gets even worse when they take them off, and then they are hooked on the glasses. And so they're really a crutch that prevents us from looking on these deeper levels of what is actually causing the problem in the first place.
There is an upside to glasses. It's an instant fix. But there's so many downsides to it. It does not address the underlying cause of the problem.
We need to really examine this point about 2020, and we are so conditioned that 2020 eyesight is the ultimate perfect vision. It's great for eyesight and it has advantages in our living, but it's so fear-based that people must really look at their fear behind this legislated rule that everybody has to see 2020. And when we do that, we're going to find this incredible dynamic mobility and flow of this fluctuating seeing.
What I love to teach people is that their vision is flexible and it can change. I generally check vision acuity on the chart when we start. And then we go about and do vision techniques. And then I generally check their vision after. And most people are standing further back from the eye chart with a comfortable reading at the end of class. It's beautiful to see the joy and the expressions on their face that our vision is flexible and it can change.
Sometimes you hear you just ditch your glasses, right? That's unrealistic for a lot of people, because if your vision is so blurry that your clarity is right here. So using transitional glasses, weaker glasses, and only use what strength you need. Diopters are measurement in terms of meters and focal points. So any diopter can only correct you for one distance. If you wear glasses for nearsightedness, because for driving, for instance, which is like 20 feet 6 meters, your computer is 2 feet or 60 centimeters away from you. You don't need the same strength. So really getting only use whatever strength you need just to have enough clarity for a given task. Not seeing the street signs 5 blocks over, right? That might not be important for if you cook a meal, let's say.
It seems silly, but to make friends with blurry is a good point, because you are not fighting against blurry, because when you remove glasses for the first time, you think you are not going to see clearly ever. But if you wait for a while and you start relaxing and feeling that is your own being, your own sight, then it starts, the tension starts to release, and then everything gets clearer.
It helps to be creative and introspective and experimental, and to treat things as an experiment, so that whatever happens because of the experiment isn't wrong, it's the answer to the experiment.
So tune in and especially take your glasses off and notice, when is my vision best and when is it worst. So you discover patterns. Could be the time of the day, could be your emotional state, could be how stressed you are, how much sleep you got, but just detecting those things. So I like to call that, like in a journal, the strains and the gains, right? So you kind of have both sides, because then you kind of have a better idea what is the way for you to improve.
A woman came to my workshop and she walked in and was reluctant to even give up her glasses, to not even put them on the side of the room. And she had such a major shift in that one class that she came to me for several sessions. And within several sessions, she left wearing glasses, prescription, that was probably about 8 years old. It was 2 prescriptions prior. And she has never gone back up to her stronger prescriptions.
And the weaker lenses, as a stepping stone, create a dance, a balance of returning between this heavy thinking state, feeling state, and remembering I'm a human being.
For me, glasses stop people from seeing their own power, from seeing their own wonder and their own gifts.
The problem with glasses is that we get stuck in them. Wearing glasses for short periods of time, like dentists to look at my teeth, or looking through a telescope at Mars, that's fine. Those are lenses used in a really good way. Or if we're going through a stressful period, like a kid going to a new school, high school for instance. I had this one kid, and she just, everything was very overwhelming. So she just wore them for short periods of time, and then she'd take them off and do the activities. And after a year, she didn't need them anymore. She was habituated, she was okay. And if we break a leg, we need crutches. And then we expect to do physical therapy and get out of them.
But sometimes you wear glasses because you put them on in the morning and then you don't remove them. First time I saw her, she told me, okay, remove your glasses and let's see what you can see. And I said, without my glasses, I can't see anything. And she said, anything? So you don't see me? I said, oh, yes, I can see you, of course. Then, why did you talk like that? And changing the way you talk, the way your mind. And also, do a list of all the things you can do without glasses. And that list keeps on growing.
Yeah, nobody needs glasses to talk on the phone. But everybody gets them on.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like shoes, they may need 2 or 3 pairs of glasses. One pair of glasses that reduces that bad stress. Another pair that says, look, I just got a job to do right now. I've got to drive 50 miles. Look, I'll wear these glasses for that. But to be flexible, like shoes.
Lots of people ask me how they can use reduced prescription glasses. So I recommend ordering several different pairs of prescription glasses that are less than the current prescription.
Is this a -2 day or -4 day? Oh, I'm going to walk the dog in the forest, -2 day. And then, oh, I have to drive to the city, or -6 day. And play a musical instrument, that's -4 day. So he chooses his lifestyle by the right glasses for the job for that day.
I personally wear indoor glasses that allows me to see my books, my recipes, the newspaper, and that's really comfortable. And when I go on the computer, I have a slightly stronger pair that allows me to see comfortably within a certain distance. And then when I drive, I have distance glasses for comfort and safety.
And I'm not in favor of people saying throw away your glasses. I think that they are basically deepening an emotional suppression, facing that much unclearness. And I've worked with people who were -10 and didn't wear their glasses for 10 years, and their life actually was affected. And when they went to -5, they somehow returned to a centered position, and they could do their work and their training much better.
So for me, it's still the experiment. I want to see how far I can go, how old I can be and still not need reading glasses.
How many people here wear glasses? There's still a lot, isn't there? And so the question I would ask you is, what is it in life that you're not looking at? And the two are actually connected.
The most important thing that Dr. Bates taught in my eyes is something called central fixation. And this is less of a practice and it's more of a habit or a different way to use your eyes or look at the world. So I want you, if you had to show me where your peripheral vision is with your hands, where would your hands go? And then if I were to ask you where your central vision is, where would maybe your hands go then? Good. So we've got three different things. We've got one finger, we've got kind of a narrow area, and then a little bit wider. So we've actually got four main layers of our visual field. Where you put your hands first, that's your far peripheral vision, the very edge of your visual field. When you bring your hands in a little closer, you're in your middle peripheral vision. When you bring your hands a little closer, you're in your near peripheral vision, kind of like a circle. And then that comes all the way up and touches your central vision, which you're going to grab two different colored pencils. The tip of one of the pencils is going to represent the size of your central vision. So if you look at one tip of one pencil, that is your central vision. And just look how small it is. The root cause of many vision problems is the loss of central fixation. Or the opposite of central fixation is called diffusion, where you diffuse, you open up your area of focus to too large of an area. You're trying to see too much at once. It's anatomically impossible because all of your cones are packed into the center of your retina, this little tiny spot called the macula, which is about 0.15 millimeters, which is very, very small. When you try and spread out and see my whole face at once, or an entire eye chart at once, you are asking your rods to do the job of the cones, which is anatomically impossible. So they put up a fight. They're like, what do you do? Why are you telling me to do the job of the cones? And then that creates all this strain and blur, and we lose our vision. When we can learn to shrink our central vision down to a really, really tiny point, that's when we can see clearly without glasses. And this is why people can practice the Bates method for 20 years and not see clearly, because I'll ask them, how's your central fixation? What? What do you mean? They're missing the most important element of how to see without glasses.
Look what we're doing with our eyes these days. We're basically looking at the phone all the time, looking at computers all the time. Don't give the eye the chance to look at a distance, which our ancestors used to do. Forget that we have periphery, and forget to look at real minor details. We just do that, and that's the formula for glaucoma, cataract, and macular degeneration.
If we're using a computer or a phone or a tablet these days, more than 2 hours a day. Now that's not that long. If you think about how often you spend on a tablet, a phone and a computer, more than 2 hours a day, then it has a detrimental effect on your eyesight.
Thriving and surviving the technological age is ruining our eyesight. I mean, over 80% of children 12 and under in China and Japan are nearsighted now. I think it's by the year 2030 or 40, there's going to be 5 billion people nearsighted.
I did a Masters of Education in how computers can impact our eyes. When I wrote the final thesis, I found that there was 3 things that we can do to improve our physical eyesight at the computer. The first is to make sure that we blink, because we tend to have a tendency to stare at the computer, especially with spreadsheets and Word documents. The second one is to breathe and just relax a little bit while we're at the computer, because again, we have a tendency to hold ourselves at the computer. And the third one is to make sure every now and then you simply look away, look at a window, a picture beside you, and then come back to the screen to allow our eyes adjust back to the screen itself.
And I know of one ophthalmologist that a woman brought her 15-year-old daughter, and to fit glasses, she didn't see well. He said, how long is she in front of a computer? The woman said, the whole day. He said, let her go and play. And he wasn't unconventional. He just was an ophthalmologist with some brain and intuition. So she went and played every half an hour. She came back in 2 months. There was no need for glasses.
We often sit at the computer with our necks slightly bent.
And our eyes, as a result, are not level, they're actually over, and it puts more strain on our eyesight. And the way we can check that is simply put our thumb out with a slightly bent arm, and we look past our thumb. So look into the distance and just be aware of your thumb. And what it would look like is you'll see two thumbs because you're looking into the distance. And one thumb may look higher than the other. So you're tilting your ear from left to right, and as you do that, it appears as if your thumbs are going up and down. And the least amount of stress on your eyesight is if your eyes are level. And so tilt your head until you've got that level, and that puts the least amount of stress on your eyes while you're working on the computer.
Maybe you can set your timer for every 5 minutes to look at 20 feet or more. And we're very resistant. It's really annoying, right? When we first do it, what do you mean I have to look in the distance every 5 minutes? And after a while, we get used to that.
It's really important that the processes that we talk about, that it becomes a daily activity for you.
I've got a huge garden in the valley, apple orchards and growing my own vegetables, to get involved with their hands and to remember that our eyes are part of this incredible existence called nature. We just have to get back there.
The sun is not your enemy. The sun is your best friend. And if you learn how to adapt to it in our methods, you actually would be able to see way, way better.
It's really important to start your day with light. It not only is healthy for your eyes, but it sets your circadian rhythms. If you expose yourself to bright light first thing before you do anything in the morning, then you're guaranteeing an easier night's sleep that next night, and it compounds.
I want to find a way to adapt to daylight, not to escape it.
Out of the entire Bates method, the sunning is my absolute favorite. And even though my vision is normalized and I don't necessarily need to keep doing practices, I still sun my eyes every day. People know you get vitamin D through the skin, but you get so much more through eye exposure.
Go outside without glasses. Many people are adverse to the sun. They're afraid of it, or it hurts their eyes.
Our eyes not only experience the world of sight, but our eyes are the only transparent biological windows of the body that allow light, which is nature's most perfect fuel mix, to enter the body and to literally energize every cell in the body. And because all of our physiology is inseparable from light, darkness, and all the changes that exist in between light and darkness.
If you are light sensitive, you want to be really gentle with it. And we're not saying you're not allowed to wear sunglasses if you want some protection, if you know you're going to be out at the beach all day or skiing or whatever, just don't wear really dark tinted sunglasses, because that's what weakens your iris muscles. When you have really dark glasses on and it's really bright out, your brain thinks, oh, it's like nighttime. So your pupils dilate and your pupils never get to constrict enough because you never exposed to the brightness. So if you wear lightly tinted sunglasses or even like yellow tinted sunglasses, it cuts the glare, it gives you some of the UV protection, but it doesn't weaken your iris muscles. What I do is I actually lift my eyebrows up and keep my eyes down, and you just always want to keep moving either side to side or up and down. I do sun sandwiches. So that's where I do 10 or 15 seconds of sunning, followed by 10 or 15 seconds of palming, and I just alternate really, really bright, really, really dark, back and forth for anywhere between 1 minute and 5 minutes. I talk about 4 rules of sunning, always letting your comfort be your guide, so never go overboard with it. Always balance the sunning with palming. A little bit often is better than a whole bunch at once, so just taking little tiny doses throughout the day, and then don't stare at the sun with your eyes open.
While I making my food I can connect to the colors I see and breathe in with my eyes the colors. I'm preparing the food or I'm eating the food.
So what's the #1 food for the eyes? Nope, it's not carrots, but kale. Kale has the highest degree of lutein, zeaxanthin, along with orange peppers. So I believe that we have to nourish our eyes through diet. The best foods, kale, orange peppers, blueberries, the dark grapes. As much as we can do multicolors in our foods, the best for our eyes.
So one thing I'd like you to do is just to squeeze your eyes like that, squeeze them really tight, and then open them. And when you open them, become aware of the first thing that you see. Everything might pop up, and you might actually get to see something and go, wow.
And go for the hobbies, go for the passion of creativity. Choose hobbies that are fun and activate the feeling nature. Because most eyesight difficulties is an overthinking. It's an overdoing. Too fast, not taking enough time to really see.
Not too much only stay in this thinking, that because that's the past, or creating a new future. It's not the moment. It's on the moment is sensing.
Yoga teaching and vision education is very similar in that the belief systems are relaxation, flexibility, hydration, awareness, and just a greater sense of self, but mostly deep relaxation.
And what does yoga mean? It means union, going back to integrative medicine.
I think he went around and tried to figure out what other cultures were doing, because a lot of what the Bates method is based on is a lot of yoga and yogic techniques and yogic thought.
Before I learned about any of this vision stuff, I was a registered yoga instructor. So I love to explore the connection between yoga and the vision, specifically including things like meditation and breath work and just healthier lifestyle in general that yoga has been teaching for thousands of years as well.
So a hint I love to tell my students is to simply close your eyes, relax your eyes in their eye socket, relax the cheekbones, relax your jaw, relax the back of your tongue, because if you can relax the back of your tongue, your whole body can relax. And in that state, just taking a breath, deeply relaxing, and gently breathing and blinking open really has the ability of resetting the nervous system and to allow the eyes to rest just for that split second.
What I want people to do right now is just to yawn. And maybe seeing me yawn or hearing me yawn is contagious and it makes you yawn. Even if you don't yawn, you can fake it till you make it and just kind of go through the motions. Just take a big breath in and make that sound, that sigh sound. And even if you don't yawn, maybe just doing a sigh, an audible sigh from high to low, like one breath like this can actually make an instant change in your nervous system. What it's doing is actually calming down the vagus nerve, which is one of the biggest nerves in the body that connects to many of the major organs in the system. And a lot of people are kind of stuck in the fight, flight, or freeze sympathetic response in the autonomic nervous system. And when you take one deep breath or yawn or sigh, it starts to move you a little bit more into the rest, relax, digest, parasympathetic nervous system. And that's what the Bates method teaches, right? Is how to relax and how to calm your nerves, because all vision problems are nervous problems. And so anything you can do to calm your nerves is going to help your eyes as well. Not to mention you're just getting a lot more oxygen. And you may notice if you are yawning with me right now, that you actually notice some tear production. And eyes with a healthy tear film see better than dry eyes do.
My journey began in 1992 when I was completely run over by a truck. And it went over my entire body, up my spine, over my head, and crushed my face in the rocks. The only thing that was not damaged was my left eye orbit. It was on limestone gravel, and so the rocks were different sizes, and there was a big rock that crushed my orbit, but it protected my eyeball, so I didn't go blind. I've had over 30 reconstructive surgeries. I had a diagnosed moderate to severe brain injury and musculoskeletal, chronic pain. It's been quite a journey. They didn't know if I'd live or die, and I was disabled completely for over 10 years.
I was operated on for a pituitary tumour. I'm sitting on the optic nerve. And they told me you shouldn't be able to see. And this became the next challenge for me to gain not only my eyesight back, but all of my vision.
I've had a number of eye surgeries due to an eye disease and have necessitated really finding ways to make myself mentally, physically, and emotionally ready for surgeries, but also how to care for my eyes and my vision post-op, because we're not always educated by our surgeons on post-operative care.
They found out that my optic nerve was so damaged I was going blind. It was like living in a moving kaleidoscope all the time. And then on the 4th orbital reconstruction surgery I had, I nearly went blind again from this eye because the exterior muscles were trapped in the orbital floor from previous surgeries, and they released them, but they didn't take care of my eye, and I developed a terrible corneal ulceration where I nearly went blind, plus my eye turned completely in.
First of all, we should do anything we can do to resolve things naturally. And if we can't, to use external invasive procedures, and then after we use them, return to nature and do anything that we can do naturally.
It's really important to allow the eye a long time to heal. And personally, I don't begin real focused natural vision improvement techniques until about 9 to 12 months post-op. I think the eyes and the visual system really need time to find a homeostasis, and then from there you can begin to retrain and rebalance the visual system. Through nutrition, gentle massaging of the eyes and the forehead, relaxing all the trauma that we experience from surgeries can really help us heal on a gentle level without disrupting all the process that was just done.
And the evidence from the ophthalmologist is that the healing is better.
I read and write, without glasses. I don't need reading. I don't need driving glasses, nothing on my, I have no restrictions.
I remember after the operation and during the recovery, I started for the first time to listen to visualization tapes to really start changing my mindset and start visualizing what was a better life and a better way of seeing for me.
It's about being in the moment, being present. I am very grateful for everything I have learned in my journey.
Oh, your child has a crossed eye, they're not quite old enough, but next year I'll do a surgery. It's malpractice as far as I'm concerned, that they don't spend time trying to teach the eyes how to work together, how to fuse together before they do the surgery. Maybe they won't even have to do any surgery because the eye will straighten out.
This girl, she was very easy to work with because of her age, being 10 years old. She's old enough to understand instructions, but also young enough that, she'll just fly with it. I explained to her why her eye was moving out and how she could change that tension, the left eye muscle tension, and release it back. First by helping her control it by making the turn worse, and then having it come back in. So as she made it worse, she could create more double vision, a bigger gap between the two images. And as she relaxed, the gap became smaller. And so she learned to play with it and learned she had some control. And then at some point I said, okay, now let your eyes just be open and blink. But as soon as things go double, I want you to close your eyes. Well, she opens her eyes and looks around and blinks, and she says, everything is single. And she's happy and excited, and I says, okay, now, if it goes double, I want you to close your eyes. She says, okay. And she just keeps looking around and blinking. And she was fine. And it didn't go back. It stayed fine. And so within 1 hour, she went from double vision in an eye that moved out to perfectly normal straight vision. And the surgery that was already half planned could be cancelled. And I heard from them several months later and again several years later that she was fine, never needed the surgery.
One of the things I found with Bates is he seemed to focus more about what was happening behind the eyes than necessarily what was happening in front of the eyes. Things like our mind, our memory, even our thoughts, and even our emotions all then have an impact on how we physically see.
When you got your glasses, what was going on in your life? And then they're like, I was in 3rd grade, my parents divorced, or we moved, or something like that. So yeah, and I was scared. It shows that there was something going on. It wasn't just suddenly you couldn't see the blackboard anymore.
I came from the business world. I was working for a bank and I was trained in economics and so on, and I didn't know I could go deeper into my eyes. They were just there with my glasses on, and then she opened me the door to this new world of health and well-being through the eyes. And it's so powerful that I couldn't think that through the eyes, so little part of the body, you know, but so important, that through the eyes you could go and reach your whole being. That's amazing for me. It still is amazing. Yeah.
How we see with our eyes is a reflection of how we see life.
When we're unhappy or when we're bored, we tend to, and I did it a lot as a kid, and I'd go like this. And my mind, though my eyes are just kind of not really looking at anything, and my mind has gone to Hawaii or something, you know? Because I didn't want to be where I was, and it was a way of escaping. And it's often the smart kids who end up in the glasses. Yes, maybe they read a lot and no one tells them to change focus, but at the same time, it's also, I think, because they're bored and nothing much is happening in the class that's engaging them.
I've had the experience where I've been feeling really good and suddenly my whole field of vision opened up. And I've had situations where I've come from a fear, or I feel like I'm being tested or what's going on, and my field of vision actually collapses.
When you do eye exercises, sometimes you improve a lot, and then you get stuck because emotions that you have in you have not been able to be cleared. And this is what's so beautiful about combining body work and eye exercises. Movement brings the emotions, movement takes them away. And the person has to be patient with the process that he or she are passing through.
The eyes are a two-way street. We need to let the images come in, the light come in and receive. And we need to allow the emotions to be expressed. And the way I've been teaching is to see from the core. And the core in the human being is this energetic line through the body, right down the center, just like the core of the carrot is for the carrot. And when we can receive the images there, we don't strain. And it's the same with the feelings. The feelings just come out. The light comes in, and it's an easy flow as long as we can stay connected to ourselves in the present.
So when a person is nearsighted, we're not talking about their eyes. We're talking about their way of experiencing reality. We're talking about how they have compensated for perhaps going through a difficult period to make their world more comfortable, more workable. The changes that we make that often cause us to wear glasses are not bad changes. We've just made them at a time when that's what we needed in order to support our sense of safety and security as we move through the world. And then the discovery that we can possibly reverse that or see life in a different way is something that occurs at a different level of life when we're ready for that.
You have to make it work for yourself. If you just want the quick fix, like without going into your inner emotional area and really connecting with yourself and what you don't want to see, you know, you're only going to get so far.
The interesting experience was when I felt clear, I saw clear. And from moment to moment, it could shift.
Simply by working on my eyes, giving attention to the eyes and experimenting different ways of using the eyes, I would come into a different state of consciousness. I would be more open to different sides of reality.
Emotions are integral to our makeup. This is why the field of psycho, neuro, immunoendocrinology exists, which essentially says that the beliefs, ideas, intentions that we identify with then reflect themselves in our immunological functions, our endocrinological functions, in our entire being, in our entire makeup.
There's a real big connection between the emotional body and vision. So the more stress you're under, the more your peripheral visual field decreases.
I believe that the eyes are not just for seeing, receiving light. I think they're also for expressing emotions. The eyes, in my eyes, have two main purposes: to see and to cry. And when we cry, we're literally squeezing emotions out of our face through our tears. And there was a long period in my life where I did not cry. I suppressed a lot of emotions, and I believe that that's part of my root cause of my blurry vision that I had earlier in my life. And when I learned about natural vision improvement, I actually got more in touch with my emotions, and I actually let them process through, and I started crying more. And every time after a cry, my vision would be clearer. There was a release of emotions that I had been trapping in, and when I let them out, it had a positive effect on my vision. If you haven't had a good cry in a while, maybe it's time.
My speciality is really looking at vision of life, not just looking at people's eyesight, but I'm interested in making the best out of each person, in giving them the gifts and the talents and the strategies for moving forward in their lives. So I've done that through a process which I call life vision mentoring, which is really helping people to expand themselves and expand their own vision.
My work is not just about identifying blocks, it's about clearing these blocks as well. So they refer to me as Australia's the blockbuster, so it's pretty cool.
The eye exercises help, they're there to support the process, but the miracle is in changing the way people see both their past and their future so that they're more firmly fixed in the here and now.
Our senses are doors or gates between the inner person and the outer world. And under really clear circumstances, there is a clear connection.
Don't worry about the eyesight so much, worry about how you're seeing life. You know, what is it in life that you're not seeing? And for some people, if it's about past issues, it could be quite negative. It could be these negative issues they've had and stresses they've had. I help them to see them in a different way so that they can move forward. The same with other people. They have a stress about their vision of the future. You know, can I live up to what I want to be? And I think I can achieve that, but I'm not achieving what I thought I was going to achieve. And in the same way, I actually help those people not only get clarity on what that vision is, but actually take steps towards that. And in the process, the magic happens because their eyesight takes care of itself.
I think the eye care industry is changing, and it has to change. At the moment, there are things that you can get on the internet. You can get cheap glasses on the internet, and you can get diagnosis with little devices that attach to a smartphone. So you can measure your own prescription, you can order your own glasses. And that's going to change the eye care industry.
Lenses are going to take on a new meaning. It's not just correcting things. Like the blue light blockers, we're going to start using glasses that have a preventive approach. Like SLR is now producing an Eyesight lens. Cooper and other companies are producing the retinal blur, peripheral blur lenses. They are in the right direction.
My vision of eye care in the future is to have optometrists collaborating with vision educators, and we get the best of both worlds. So that people wishing to be able to see can get reduced lenses, can get support through optometrists, and they can get the guidance of a vision educator so that they can take personal responsibility for themselves.
My sense is that this humanistic approach could just fit into a little corner one day of an optometric office where maybe it's coaching that they provide as an extra service and have a therapist, trainer, vision educator there. And that would be a perfect mix.
When you go to the eye doctor, or especially if you bring a child to the eye doctor, that they actually ask you about your life, your questions. What are you doing with your eyes? How's your sleep? How's your stress? Where are you on the emotional scale, right? And then offer you this as a first option before you do anything else, right? And only if that doesn't work, or if some people might be, you know what, I just want the quick fix. I don't want to go inside. I don't want to know this. Fine, right? But have that as one of the first option, and then use glasses, contacts, or surgery.
The future of vision care should be eye health care. Eye, meaning not just the physical eye, but the totality of the person.
You are the one in charge. You are the consumer, and that consumerism means you ask for what you want. If you don't want drops in your eyes, say so. If you don't want strong glasses, talk to them, inquire, and if they don't respond, find somebody that will. There are vision therapy optometrists, behavioral optometrists, developmental optometrists who are very receptive to myopia control, very open to vision therapy principles, part of what we do in vision education. So there's a symbiotic potential that's available, but it's the consumer, the people like you and I, that have to go out and ask for it.
Well, the really cool thing is that we see with the mind, and we can change our mind. And we do it all the time. So let's change it about vision.
Real change, whether it's in chemistry, physics, or biology, or relationships, or even getting your clothing clean, requires agitation. We say it all comes out in the wash. It all becomes clear and clean. Interestingly enough, all this is happening in 2020, the year of clarity, the year of I see, which means I understand. And so the pandemic changes our awareness of the racial inequalities of the world, our awareness of the difference between leaders who lead and leaders that demand. All of that could never have become clearer than it is becoming right now. So while this is a time of disturbance, this is our moment of greatness.
We've already demonstrated, yes, we can do stuff by ourselves. The benefits of going to a vision educator, to me, just speeds up the process, number one, but it also makes it safe to do. Like, it makes it a safe process. Because I know I was quite scared about doing some of this stuff. Like, is this okay or is this not okay? You know, I was told by an optometrist, make sure you wear your glasses all the time or your eyes will get worse. Mm-hmm. And so when I started taking them off, there was some guilt that sort of came in, or am I doing the right thing with my eyes, or is this okay? And I found that by working with people and giving them that reassurance that things are okay, it sort of speeds up the process, but it also enables them to go within quicker for themselves.
It's difficult to see yourself from the outside. So a vision teacher can give you feedback of how you put your head, how you breathe, if you blink or not.
The teacher's job is to find what really works to help that student relax, because not everything does it. I mean, you give them all the relaxation drills and palming and so forth. Some people palm and that's like, wow, it's magic. Others palm and it's not magic.
The amount of people that can benefit from this and the amount of people that we can help through this. The stories that we've heard and the case histories of people that they've shared with us are just so inspiring, and that's really what originally fueled me. Maybe by going through watching this it has already begun to shift or change your perception of vision or your belief about what's possible. Without even doing any practices, you might actually already start to see some change or improvement.
Go and Google, see what you can find, and take some first steps for yourself to finding out what you can do about your own eyesight.
If you change your vision, you absolutely will change your life.
I'm more aware now of the space between objects. Looking at a tree, particularly the pine trees, rather than seeing the pine trees a blur, I see the light between the leaves, I see the light between the branches.
I was able to pass my driver's test this year without lenses. Human body is just wonderfully made, and if you're willing to work with it, like using the Bates method, it's amazing to discover its capabilities.
I was enthralled, and I had someone immediately take me to the optometrist, remaining in a relaxed state, continuing to relax my vision. And immediately, the optometrist tested me, and my prescription had dropped 2 points that day.
It has greatly improved my color vision, imagination, and my ability to think clearly.
My left eye was 5.75, has improved to a trainer glass of 1 in myopia.
I have enhanced color perception and depth perception, enhanced peripheral vision.
I see in a whole new way now. I see details I never saw before, even before I needed glasses. And now I get to put those details in my paintings.
Don't believe me, believe yourself. Try things out, see what works for you, see what resonates.
Being able to see, when I close my eyes, the details of the room that I'm in. That was a new feat for me to do.
Because I'm absolutely determined not to wear glasses in my life. But I don't want it to be a fight. I want to relax into that. And I think with Barry's exercises, they're a relaxing process, they're not a fighting process.
This has been an amazing journey, and I can't wait to do more.
Hey, I think your microphone's muted. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hey, Barry.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Barry. Hello, Nathan. Hello, back. I was saying that it's very exciting to have you, Barry, all the way from Australia. I'm so happy that you could make it for this second part.
Thank you.
Barry Oxenfeld, together with Nathan Oxenfeld. So they're the co-producers of the documentary. Maybe we'll have to put the mic on and off because there's some weird echo when we all have it on. I don't know, maybe somebody's not wearing these. Anyway, welcome, Barry. We've had about 250 people watching live in our peak, 2035 most of the time, and 2025 are staying with us at this moment. And we're leaving the film a little bit on the YouTube channel. In Spanish, we showed it yesterday, and this morning there were over 5,000 people who watched it. So let's hope that it will happen in the same way in English. In any case, so we had the pleasure to hear Nathan in the beginning. Maybe you want to say a few words about your experience of making this documentary and your intention, and then we'll look into the chat and see some questions and do some Q&A.
Look, thank you. Look, it's so exciting to see it. Every time I see it, there's actually something new I get to see. And the intent of making the movie was really to bring awareness to people that there is something they can do other than just go and buy a pair of glasses. And so we wanted to make something that was going to reach a more general people, not just preaching to the converted, and to open up, literally open up people's eyes to what was possible. And it was really a process of love, for, particularly with Nathan and myself, who really just wanted to get the message out there to the world. And I am really proud of every person in the movie. I'm proud of Craig, who did the directing and putting together. And I'm really excited that so many people have had the opportunity to have a look. And I'm mainly here to answer any questions that people may have in the chat room, if there's any there.
Sure, there are some. Let me see. So the first question that came in the chat is, it came from Chihuahua. I don't know if that's the name or the nickname. Anyway, that was saying, does it mean that when you meditate, your sight improves? And until we were getting to this point of the after the film and the Q&A, I for the moment answered it may. Many of the ingredients in meditation, of course, help with vision improvement. For some people, it may be enough. For some people, more things may be required. What would be your take on this, Barry, Nathan?
Okay, look, I'll answer it first. And my idea, if you think about what meditation is about stilling the mind and relaxation, which is exactly what Dr. Bates talked about in terms of how to improve our eyesight, is by being still and relax ourselves. So I believe it is a great tool that we can use to support us in, as a byproduct, not just improved eyesight, but improving our entire life. And a byproduct is that our eyesight could improve. Nathan, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, totally agree. I also typed in the YouTube comments that several years ago, I actually put a video out on YouTube called Meditation for Your Eyes. And it kind of talks about the relationship between a meditation practice and a Bates method practice. Because like you both just said, there's so much overlap there about how they're both about achieving a certain level of mental focus. And the other connection is with our vision habits. A lot was covered in the movie about blinking and relaxation and stuff. These are not just exercises that we do for 5 minutes a day. It's something we think about all day long. So if anybody has experience meditating, they probably have experience of their mind wandering from the meditation, and then they have to bring it back. So it's this constant kind of refocusing, coming back. Very similar thing with our eyes. If we are going through our day, we're on the computer, and then we realize, oops, I'm staring or I'm doing a bad vision habit, we become aware of it, and then we come back to a better vision habit like blinking or relaxing or breathing. So it's almost kind of like working with the same mental muscle of kind of paying more attention and kind of staying focused throughout the day.
Absolutely, and as you said also in the film, this is maybe less a practice than a habit transformation. And because we're in January and people are thinking about habits for the year, we want to make this invitation to review your habits related to the use of your eyes and your eyesight. And the reason why I answered it may and not necessarily it will for sure is that there's also many layers that are intertwined into vision and eyesight. Let me give other examples. I know people who have improved their eyesight going to psychotherapy. They didn't do anything particularly Bates or natural vision improvement related, but the inner transformation that they experienced was enough and was powerful and deep to transform that as well. I know people who have improved their eyesight simply by stopping using their glasses. Mm-hmm. And well, that made space for the eyes and encouraged the person to have other habits for the use of their eyes, and it was enough. But there's cases in which it's not enough. And then that's when it's useful to have a vision educator or an approach, a method that will look into the different aspects of what you're doing so that you can improve your vision. But indeed, of course, as you said, between meditation and natural vision improvement, there's lots of overlap and related principles.
My suggestion for people is really just try for themselves, like meditate and see what happens, Go and get some psychotherapy, go and find out what's going on, what is it in life that you're not looking at, and see what difference it makes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that is true for every little practice as well. Like start blinking more and see what happens. Spend more time looking at the far and see what happens. Do some sunning, do some palming, and see what happens. Yeah,
look, I totally agree. And look, the biggest thing, and I just want to really re-emphasize this, is take personal responsibility. Choose to do something. We spend time every day cleaning our teeth. We time every day washing. What do you do every day to look after your eyes? And for me, it's about the consistency. Not like I did palming one day and it didn't really work. Okay, well, maybe clean your teeth one day and see what happens in 10 years' time to your teeth. So we've got to get the balance put back in. So what can we do just for a few minutes every day to look after our eyes? What's the easiest things? And the two easiest things I've found is that, palming and sunning are the easiest thing to incorporate into an everyday process. And, for everyone that just goes to the bathroom, when you're sitting there in the bathroom, do some palming can be a habit that means you're doing it every day. It doesn't take any extra time. And it's going to support people.
Yeah, that's something I also advise people to look into all those little times, interstitial times, where you're already there, waiting in a line, or stuck in the traffic, or in the subway, or moments like that, or in the toilet, like you said, or taking a break at your desk, and just 5 minutes here, 2 minutes there, 30 seconds there, it can make a huge difference. And like you say, drinking water is good for you. You're not going to do it one day. You're going to do it every day, consistently. Absolutely. Yeah, so Serena was saying, I love the example of the tip of the pencil. And Nathan, this was your comment in the film about central fixation being the most important principle, or the one you found the most enlightening in the Bates method. Maybe you want to say something more about this.
Yeah, well, I'm also just seeing another comment from Erica about that, saying that the central fixation, with that concept with the tip of the pencil really helped them a lot, make some improvements. But they weren't able to kind of translate that into like reading a book, for example. And that's, a good question of like, how does that translate into an everyday skill or some activity? And yeah, somebody right after that said that Esther in the movie mentioned a book about that. So she did make a book about reading without glasses. So she has a whole book about, this whole topic of the Bates method without glasses, reading up close. But just so people know, Dr. Bates did address that. He actually developed a specific type of reading that works with that central fixation principle. But it's not necessarily about looking at every individual letter as you read it. It's different than that. So there's ways to kind of work around it. But that's a perfect example of how you learn a particular principle like central fixation and then start to ask yourself, how does this show up when I'm reading? How does this show up when I'm on the computer? How does this show up when I'm in a conversation with somebody or in a Zoom call? So that's exactly how this all works, is we got to be thinking about not just having it be a separate, isolated thing. It's actually a part of our life. So yeah, hopefully that idea kind of came across in the film as being important, and hopefully people understood it. And even if people don't understand it, you at least know that that's important and that's worth kind of studying more.
Absolutely.
I just also want to honor in the film, Dr. Berto Kaplan. And this man was actually one of my mentors, and it was so great to see him again. It was really just nice to see him every time. And he was so generous. He gave us so much time and literally passed away literally a few weeks after filming. And his idea, he had such joy in presenting this information because that was his life. And I just want to acknowledge some of the people who've gone before us. Janet Goodrich is another one. There's been some amazing people who have led the way. This is not just something new. There have been people over 100 years who have been standing tall saying there is an alternative.
Absolutely. And it's also so nice to see that while we're standing on the shoulders of giants that were there before us, starting with Bates and all the other generations in between, including Kaplan and others. Also, there's new generations of people that are joining every time, that want to become vision educators and that want to be part of this global movement. to help people, well, with their clarity, their inner and outer clarity. And I have Danielle Burstein here, that says, every time I see this documentary, I feel I am in my heart's path. Daniel has been a student of mine and has become a vision educator. He's part of my team now, and he's going on a PhD in lifestyle medicine. So films like this can be so inspiring. I mean, we all do other activities, but it's so beautiful to see how these films inspire so much every time we show it. So thank you both for creating it. There's Serena also saying that she loves the 3 examples from being in front of the computer. And I think that that's a reference about a moment where you talk, Barry. You've done this master focused on this aspect particularly, and you were giving some tips and hints on what to do when you're in front of a computer to help your eyes. And this is a topic that interests so many people. Maybe you want to add a couple more ideas on this?
Yeah, look, there is. And Nathan and I actually addressed it together. We set up a program called computerized.com, I think it's referred to. And we recognize so many kids are sitting in front of the computers all the day, and recognizing that in my studies in doing a Masters of Education, looking at computers and eyesight specifically, if you're spending more than 2 hours a day, it's having a detrimental effect. And what Nathan and I did is we actually put together some information for not just young people, but primarily directed towards younger people, where we used humor. And we had so much fun in some of the videos that came up. And one of them, for example, was a sketch that Nathan and I did where I'm sitting there scrunched over a computer, all hunched up, and Nathan's trying to sort of help my eyesight. I was like, I can't stop. I've got to keep reading. And it's a great clip where it really shows that, you know, it's one of those things that people often do. If they just don't stop me, I'm at the computer. Nathan, do you want to comment on that? Because that was I don't know if you remember that shot that we did, but I think we're both in hysterics afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think the reason why we sort of aimed at the younger audience, so to speak, in terms of making the computerized program maybe for the younger generation, is because I think we all just see the importance of that and the potential negative effect that early screen exposure can have on visual development. I mean, it's like younger and younger and younger. These kids are getting their, kindergarten, they're getting their iPad and stuff like that. So our dream is that this type of program could be actually infused into a school curriculum, or this type of thing is so simple and easy and doesn't consume a lot of time of the day. We already know the curriculums are already jam-packed, but just teaching kids how to not hurt their eyes, like real simple stuff to potentially prevent them from needing, medical intervention down the line with their eyes. So it's this is kind of like the beginning stages of that, of like, what would that look like if this was just more a part of the conversation in schools with teachers? And that's what Dr. Bates was really doing 100 years ago, trying to get this in the classroom.
Absolutely. And we also meet in the intention on this topic. I also created in 2016 a program in Spanish called Pirata a la Vista, which is a play on words. It means pirate at sight, but the way you write this in Spanish, it also says pirate, take care of your eyes, pirate to your eyes. So the program was with, of course, lots of eye patches and setting up context for playing and taking care of the eyes and eyesight. And as you know, Nathan, also we have this the Visionary Children's Project that we're carrying, helping kids in the poorer areas of Oaxaca to learn about the natural vision improvement in places where they don't necessarily have access to internet that easily or to other kinds of eye care. And this information, again, becomes even more relevant after 2020, where so many kids were homeschooled, learning through screens because, well, they couldn't go to class for a long time. Any effort and any project that we may have to spread the information among the younger generations is so necessary and useful.
Yeah. I just want to add with regards to that Nathan and I are making the Computer Eyesight program free for any charities working with overseas children from developing countries. So that's something that's there. If anyone's listening, there's a couple of things that we are looking at having that available. The second thing that we're actually also looking for, we're still wanting this to get further out there. So we're looking at places like Netflix and things like that, but you have to be actually asked to show them. We can't just give them this video, which I think would be great for something like Netflix or one of those streaming networks to really get it out there to the world. And so if anyone does know how to get access to any of that, please drop us a line through any one of us, and that will support the message getting it out to the world. I think that's an important thing as well. And we've got to learn to keep unmuting ourselves.
There. Yeah, I'm doing it too much. Thank you. So I was saying absolutely, and getting back to the chat and questions and comments from the chat, Helda is mentioning, she said, excuse me, but I didn't wear glasses to read before I was 44. And when I started to wear them, my vision has become poorer. And this is such a common experience. Like, people who've had good eyesight until their 40s or their 50s, and they start using glasses first for presbyopia, and then the eyesight starts getting worse and worse, and then they put progressive lenses or multifocals, and that's when the disaster happens and the eyesight really deteriorates very fast. So Helda, you're not alone. This happens to a lot of people, and now the idea is to start reversing that process, and maybe with a reasonable approach, of course. If you need them, use the glasses. But whenever you can not wear them, spend some time without them, and take some of that time also to do some of the practices you've learned here in the documentary, or will give you more options also to keep learning. And then you can revert that process and see clearly again, or at least better and better. Comments on these, guys?
Exactly. I think the more we can learn and more we can find out, and there's, as we said in the documentary, there's a lot that you can do by yourself to get started, by finding a vision educator in your area that supports a lot of the process as well. And one of the things you said at the start, actually, from Australia, obviously with my accent, I've literally just moved to Florida in the last couple of months as a process of really stepping up, getting this work out there in the world.
Amazing. And speaking of which, Betty's saying, this is so awesome. Thank you so much. Hope there's a replay because I have to go right now. And so let me say something. So we are showing this documentary here today for free to this wider audience in my YouTube channel, in this case, as a courtesy from Nathan and Barry, also because I sponsored the translation and subtitling of the documentary into Spanish to give it some exposure in the Spanish-speaking world. But normally this documentary is not available for free all the time in the YouTube channel or anywhere else, actually. If you are interested in watching the documentary again and again and again, and have access for life and sharing it with friends, family, etc., you have the opportunity to purchase it. You have a link that I just posted now. Actually, I wonder if the link is correct. I think it is not. Let me correct it. Clearsight. Yeah, this is the one. I was doing a mix between Spanish and English. It doesn't work. Still, there's a spelling mistake. Sorry. So clearsightmethod.com/documentary. This is the link, clearsightmethod.com/documentary. And there you can find, you are actually redirected to the page of the documentary itself, where you can rent or purchase the documentary. What are your plans with this documentary going forward, Nathan and Barry?
Yeah, like Barry just sort of hinted at, we want to find some way to just have it more and more available, whether that is on some streaming thing or actually just making it available on YouTube. So yeah, we're kind of continuing getting towards that goal, and but at the moment, it's really either that website or vision2020movie.com is where, yeah, people can either rent it or purchase it. We also are coming up with a little bit of an East Coast documentary screening tour for 2023. So like Barry mentioned, he relocated to Florida. I'm up in northern Vermont, so we're going to be doing some setting up some events like we did in New York last year, up and down the East Coast. So we'll be probably adding more information about that to the main website, vision2020movie.com. And then maybe we'll be actually doing an in-person screening in your area, and you can come and meet us and do kind of a more interactive experience with it.
Great. So these are great news. Absolutely. Anything you want to add, Barry?
I just want to thank you. I actually have to head off. I'm in the middle of running a retreat here at the moment, so I've snuck out in order to jump on because I just was really interested. And
thank you. So thank you very much that you took some time to be with us. Yeah, this is really amazing, and we'll have other opportunities to meet you and chat with you. I think Nathan and I can stay a little bit longer and look a little bit through the chat and address a few more questions and comments.
So I just want to thank everyone who's been here. I really appreciate that you've stayed, and really excited about what people can do about their own eyesight. So thanks both of you for what you've been doing.
Thank you, and Happy New Year, Barry, because I didn't see you in the beginning. So, and happy life in Florida.
Thank you very much. Happy New Life, everyone.
Great. Okay, so we can stay a little bit longer, right, Nathan? There was somebody also mentioning how they liked discovering that emotions played such a big role in eyesight, and how when you address and you set free your own emotions, you can improve. And I love this sentence that you say in the movie, that you see the eyes have two functions, seeing and crying, and that crying is literally pouring emotions out through the tears. And yeah, this is something I have. Well, go ahead, and then I'll say a couple more things on this.
Yeah, no, I know that's kind of one of your areas of expertise as well. So I'm keen to hear a little more. But yeah, it's even just the basic element of moisture, right? And the fact that sometimes when we have eye issues, we also experience some level of dry eyes, and so that's one of the very first things that a lot of people notice actually when they start practicing the Bates method is their eyes start to feel more lubricated. Sometimes there is that emotional connection where they're actually processing more things and crying, but sometimes it's just a matter of the eyes becoming more moist and more lubricated, which actually results in clearer eyesight compared to when the eyes are dry and the tear film is kind of evaporating.
Absolutely. Yeah, the tears themselves and the moist in the eye are so important to improving focus and to improve the general condition of the eye. And also, indeed, this is something that I have done research for many years from the University of Toulouse. And it's a topic, an angle that I really love, that I'm really interested in. And this is this emotional connection for eyesight. We did a survey a few years ago with 450 people, and we noticed that 82% of the time, the people could spontaneously identify the moment where their eyesight decreased with a moment and related with a moment of their life where they were living something very stressful. And that was a spontaneous answer to an open question. We were not like looking for it. It just came out. And then when we looked in more detail into the question, into the answers, we noticed that there was an extra 6% of people that said, well, nothing particular. When my eyesight got worse, nothing, I cannot see anything that might have been happening at that time. But then at the sentence, in some part of the sentence, they would say things like, my father died, I got fired from my job, I moved to another country, I moved to another house, or a kid was born. So nevertheless, there were some events that were impactful at that moment. So in almost 90% of the time, people will mention spontaneously something that was challenging at the time when eyesight started getting worse. And there's been research, mine included, but also other giants that came before me, like Charles Kelly or Martin Brofman, who did very detailed research, and they managed to link specific symptoms to specific emotional tension. So the things that have been bothering you are likely to be different if you develop myopia, or if you develop cataracts, or if you have floaters or dry eyes. And when you know what is the tendency, what kind of emotion tends to be behind the different symptoms, then it's like placing a mirror in front of you. You can look at yourself and say, oh, that's right, I've been going through this challenge. So how can I help myself solve it so that I don't have this underlying tension? And when you can focus on that, and that problem solving that you were maybe unconscious or unaware of, then your eyesight improves as well. And it feels like magic. It is really, really beautiful, because then you get two for the price of one. You see better, but you're also happier because of the issues that you solved. Anyway, this is a topic I could talk for hours, literally, because I love it. And actually, if this is something that interests you, very soon, I'm going to open a registration. Well, actually, registration's already open. I'm going to deliver a free course on natural vision improvement, a free 4-part masterclass. I call it Wake Up Your Eyes. And one of the lessons is going to be specifically on this emotional aspect. And there will be plenty of techniques and exercises taught, including palming and sunning and many of the classics, but some other tools. So if you're still here, and I see there's still plenty of people around, maybe, and you want more, maybe this is one of the next steps that you can take as well, to keep learning and do something to improve your eyesight personally. You may want to add something more on this topic of emotions.
I just love when people make these connections and, just open up a blank page in the journal, just start writing down some things about, the time around when you got glasses, or maybe more recent kinds of things. But yeah, it's really worth exploring. And I know that was a big part of my vision recovery process with my myopia and my astigmatism that I developed from childhood. So it really was a matter of me going back to elementary school in my memory and really asking myself, what were the different fears and worries and stresses, even at that early stage of my life. So yeah, it's just a matter of opening that door and seeing what comes through, and recognizing that that's actually a powerful way to work with the underlying root causes of many different kinds of vision problems.
And often not only, some authors would also say that doing this introspective work does not only help with your eyesight issues, but also with other health issues in general. So it's always worth it. And for me, I was not in the documentary in the end, but so of course, if you're here, you probably know that I'm also a vision educator, and I also had vision problems 3 different times in my life. And the third time, I won't go into the other 2, but the third time, it was very interesting because I had developed presbyopia at a very young age and astigmatism. And I had already been acquainted with these ideas that emotions can be the underlying key thing behind the eye symptoms or symptoms in general. And that third time, I improved my eyesight, quote, doing nothing. I didn't do any practice of any kind. I didn't change anything that outwardly was visible in my lifestyle. Yet inside, I took different decisions. I examined the things that were bothering me and looked into them in a different way. And that was enough to solve the vision problem. And I did it on my own. So yeah, there's the toolkit of possibilities that we have from within holistic vision, natural vision improvement, and the Bates method is so vast, so wide, and they're so deep and so transforming that it's really worth to take some time to learn and experiment and see for yourself, literally. Yeah. So there's people mentioning, yeah, that were very inspired and thinking and everything. There's a couple practical questions. So Carol is asking about how to find the vision educator in her area. And maybe we can tell her about the website seeing.org that lists many vision educators in the world. It's maybe one of the most complete lists that is out there. I don't know if you're aware of another one.
Yeah, there's that one. And then also the one we're working on with the Association of Vision Educators, which is at naturalvisionteachers.org.
Mm-hmm.
So that one, yeah, also has like a map function where you can search around. But yeah, there's not, I don't think quite as many people on that list as the seeing.org one. But yeah, I think someone was also, asking about Arizona. That might have been the same person.
Yeah, that's her,
Yeah.
Carol. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely there may be somebody actively teaching the Bates stuff in your area. Another thing to maybe consider is sometimes people will search for vision therapy, vision therapists, or even like behavioral optometry, things like that, which maybe isn't necessarily the Bates method like we talked about in the film. If you're looking for more specifically that, then you'd maybe want to be searching, on seeing.org or naturalvisionteachers.org.
And another opportunity is to use the resources that we have on the internet also. I mean, of course, going to see a natural vision educator is always a very good option, but there are nowadays more and more sources of information, and you have your podcast, I have mine. I'm offering to join this free class where I'm going to teach plenty of things. And Carol, that may be a starting point while you're doing also your research and you find the appropriate person for you. You may want to also experiment with this and try for yourself. And maybe you can, maybe this is enough as well. So there's many options, many possibilities. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd say I work with like 99% of people online at a distance on Zoom. And, I do still really love working with people in person, but it's just been amazing how it still works even at a distance.
Absolutely. It works at a distance individually, it works at a distance in group setting, and it works also with online courses. You could also do it reading a book. Now, the advantage that you have is that if you are doing it with us in a way or another, whether it's in person, at a distance, in a group, or with an online program, is that you're going to have a following and support. So that plus is really makes a difference when you have someone that you can go to and ask and get feedback and get other forms of support. So Carol, if you want to try out, this is one option, this link that I'm showing around here. And of course, all the other resources that we've been talking about. Victoria is asking about how does artificial light, lamps, etc. help or hurt when reading and computers? This is a vast topic. We could also talk for hours about this, and one of the lessons is going to be on this. But we were invited not so long ago, Nathan and I, to talk about screens in a conference on light and color. And unfortunately, in the end, I couldn't make it. So we prepared the talk together, but you were the one to deliver it. Want to say a couple of things to Victoria?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's such a good question because we definitely are surrounded by more artificial lights and artificial screens. And so it's definitely a topic that I'm really invested in because I personally like to just take stock of my quote light diet around me. And I really prioritize either getting natural light, either just taking it in through the window or actually taking my book outside to read in the sun or things like that. But when it comes to my artificial lights, I generally lean more towards like incandescent lighting, like the light bulb behind me, kind of has this more sort of yellowish, kind of softer light versus the more harsh, blue LED lights or fluorescent lights, which can really bother a lot of people's eyes and brains, give you headaches and stuff. So it's kind of tricky because those types of light bulbs are really being phased out and the LEDs are really taking their place. So I do have some LED lights in my house as well, but I just, pay attention to finding a good balance between the different types of artificial lights and then also balancing with the natural light. The whole thing about screens and the blue light coming from the screen, like you said, is sort of a whole separate topic in and of itself. But I do use those blue blocking softwares where you turn the blue light down. So if it's like 50% blue light coming from my screen, makes the screen look a little more yellow color, but it makes my eyes feel so much more comfortable, and it enables me to work on the computer screen a lot longer compared to if the blue light was at 100%. So that's just a personal preference, but I know a lot of people do seem to benefit from maybe decreasing or just mitigating the exposure to the screen, the blue light from the screens.
Yeah, agree with that 100%. Another thing you can do also is put filters. And I know that the blue blockers are glasses that are trendy at the moment. And that may be a good option. I tend to advise people to rather put the filter on the computer, on the screen of the computer, and then their eyes can still be free and not have a glass in front of them, which is always better for good habits. So again, that's a whole topic in itself. We're going to spend one of the 4 lessons is going to be on light, natural light, artificial light. So you may want to come and participate. And another thing, 2 things, Nathan. One for LED lights, there's also the more expensive ones that have dimmers and allow to change colors. So that's something that may be interesting. And I'd like to know where you find your incandescent lights, because it's been years that I don't see any, at least in Europe. I don't know if in the States it's still possible to find some, but indeed they're more and more rare.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the country, even state by state here in the US. So yeah, some places you just can't find them. Like they've actually been like banned even, which is really unfortunate. But you can look online. Sometimes I go to like this website called 1000bulbs.com, the number 1000, then bulbs. But yeah, maybe eBay, you might have to kind of do a little searching for it, because you're probably not like, I don't find these usually at the store, like the
anymore. Yeah.
It's some like a specialty item I have to like really seek out. Nowadays they're sometimes they're called like, sometimes they're like the, I don't know, they're like old fashioned or old school, or like, Edison bulbs, sometimes they're called, because like they'll put them in restaurants for that ambiance, but
vintage lights.
Yeah.
Okay. Gio is asking about chalazions and styes and if they have to do anything with eye issues. Well, my experience is that people that practice natural vision improvement, if they've been having styes and the like, they tend to disappear. And actually, in my advanced program, which is a paid program, we have a plan of suggested exercises when you tend to have styes and chalazions, and they go away. It's not that difficult actually.
Yeah, and speaking of LED lights, the specific LED light many people have probably heard of is the red and infrared light therapy devices that are kind of getting more popular. And there has been some research that the red and the infrared light can actually help with styes and chalazions, like with doing it the right way, obviously. So that could just be a point of research for that person to just maybe do a Google search of red light chalazion or infrared light stye, and just kind of see what you find there.
Absolutely. Oh, and Chihuahua is also saying, I just try to meditate my eyes and it feels different than normal meditation. Interesting. Good that you did that exercise, that practice. Erica, I discovered in this film what I did wrong when trying to read. With the item about the central vision, I improved a lot, but not with reading. What could help me more to improve this?
Yeah, that was the one I was referring to earlier.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, you mentioned Erica. Okay, absolutely. Yeah, and McFarlane is asking about special recommendations for reducing strabismus and double vision. There's plenty of practices that can help with that, but a very simple starting point is to disguise as a pirate, to wear eye patches and to stimulate the eye separately, to wake up the one that's probably deviating, because maybe there's also some amblyopia there, some a bit of a lazy eye. And then after stimulating separately, then stimulate them together. And of course, there's multiple ways to do that. But yeah, that's like one general idea that you can start with. And we'll talk about plenty of possibilities in the free class. But maybe you want to say something more for the moment.
I was just going to say there is both to this question and in the following, there were some other questions about cataracts as well. That podcast we mentioned earlier, the Better Eyesight podcast, there is an entire episode, number 17, which is all about strabismus. So that one is Esther Joy Vanderwerf and Dr. Ray Gottlieb. Both were in the film today. So they spend, that whole episode talking about Dr. Bates's approach to squint and amblyopia, strabismus, double vision, all that stuff. And then there's also a whole nother episode about cataracts, episode 19, which is Esther and Amelia, that was also in the film. So I think those are really good starting points to not only actually get Dr. Bates's original take on it and his explanation of what's causing it and what you can do about it, but then they also contain a lot of good case histories and success stories that can actually motivate you to see what's actually possible with the Bates method.
Yeah, and speaking of case studies and testimonials and success stories, in my YouTube channel, I think I have over over 100 videos now in English and over 500 in Spanish. So if you're wondering whether it works for your symptom, it works for the condition that you have, do a search and look, and you'll probably hear a number of stories of people who have improved from that. We're actually making a quite detailed spreadsheet. In Spanish, we have more to choose from because we have 500 of them, more than like 550. And so we have testimonials for about any kind of eye symptom that you can think of. Of course, there's a lot of diversity in eye symptoms, so we may not have like all of them. That's kind of hard, but we very, very likely have a number of testimonials on the more usual common conditions that worry more people. And about reading also, I also have a program called Better Vision Through Reading. So that's also another option to look at for those who want to read. Okay, Esther Joy mentioned the book she read about using the eyes in a relaxed way. What book is it? Do you happen to know, Nathan? Because there are a number of books on natural vision improvement. So the one specifically she was talking about.
I think that was the one we were also talking about earlier, called Read Without Glasses at Any Age, I think it's called. She's got a great website. It's called visionsofjoy.org or visionsofjoy.com. And yeah, you can find she's got a lot of books that she's written on there.
Okay, and Sumaya was asking, do you have successful cases of recovering from cataracts? I have plenty. I have many people who have avoided surgery. The surgery was already planned for like a month later, and they did my program and they didn't have to do the surgery at all. There's plenty of cases like this. So it's absolutely possible, Sumaya. Give it a try. And as I don't know who it was in the documentary was saying, before going into the medical options, I would first try the natural way. And even after, if some people end up choosing or having to go through a surgery or a procedure like that, after the period of convalescence, the required period, go back and start practicing natural vision improvement. It will be so much better for your eyes and your eyesight.
Yeah, I got that question this week. I know it's like, can I still do the Bates method after a cataract surgery? And yeah, absolutely. Once you take that time to rest and recover, because the cataract surgery is really just working with the lens and that one section of the eye, but the Bates method is dealing with the entire eye system and visual system and the whole non-physical side of seeing as well. So there's still so much to get from the Bates method, even in the context of a conventional protocol. And that was one of my favorite things about the documentary, was this vision of the future of eye care having a blend of working together, the natural and the allopathic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the vision that we are in is that of opening eyes and giving people options, letting them be aware of what's possible, and then each person can choose for themselves, taking responsibility for their own health and well-being and health, what they want to do, what they prefer. And there may be a mix of options. And one question that I got yesterday several times from the Spanish-speaking audience, and between yesterday and today, the question came back in some of the chats and the communities that we have, is how some people were surprised that there was a natural vision teacher wearing glasses in the documentary, and a couple of them were almost even shocked. And what my answer was, well, first of all, I think the intention, I cannot speak for you and Barry, but I think the intention was to show different point of views and different options. And second, we are not in a fight against glasses. We are in a quest for clear vision. And these are two different things. And for some people, glasses may play a useful role in the process, or they may be a useful tool. And for other people, it's about becoming independent from them and detaching from them and and being able to emancipate from the glasses completely. But it's important that everybody can see and can have access to meaningful possibilities. And so I think that it probably was on purpose that you put someone that had glasses, right, among the vision teachers. Or tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, it almost kind of reminds me of my experience going to my first vision conference in California, and kind of naively thinking I was going to go into this room, full of people with no glasses, and everybody had perfect eyesight, and everybody was like, miraculously healed and cured to the fullest degree. But a lot of people had glasses, and I was like, whoa, I wasn't really expecting that. And the more I learned about these people, they had already improved so much. Like my starting point was around -4. And so, with my prescription, it enabled me to go all the way to no glasses and, seeing clearly without them in 2020 and getting the restriction off my driver's license and all that stuff. But, if somebody's starting at -10, more than double the strength of where I started, maybe their process gets them to -2, and then maybe first of all, that's a huge improvement.
And life-changing. I mean, and that's important to say. Any improvement in your eyesight improves your quality of life so much that even if you improve 10%, 20%, 30%, 50%, 80%, it's a huge improvement. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and like was said in the documentary, was that even these people who still use glasses for certain times or activities, it's not like full time anymore. Like they have become much more independent from them. They have regained certain, seeing abilities that they don't need the glasses for. So yeah, it's really just thinking about this in a bigger picture of, and like even myself, like my book, I decided to call "Give Up Your Glasses for Good," and that might be an option for some people, but it might not be an option for everyone. But that's not just referring to physical glasses. Sometimes I kind of talk about taking off your mental glasses. Right. So that's kind of referring more to the deeper changes and transformations that go on, other than just the eyesight. And those are the other changes that even if glasses are still worn or used, the Bates method has still led to some pretty profound changes and improvements on many levels.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Changing the kind of comments and questions. Free Trade is asking about the purpose of that black chandelier mobile that you have. It's eye catching, and that's its purpose, actually, right? It's to open the peripheral view, right?
Yeah, it has a lot to do with the periphery.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of people struggle with screens, and a lot of people stare by accident when they are looking at a screen. And, you know, especially when I'm doing vision lessons with people, I don't want people to be staring. So this is meant to actually stimulate the periphery with some movement. It kind of catches the light, so it kind of encourages your eyes to kind of look over at it every once in a while and come back. So yeah, it's sort of an easy way to stimulate some more movement of the eyes, more peripheral expansion. And yeah, some people in the comments were asking about it. I think you can find it online. I think it's just called a spinner. Usually it's like for the yard. It's like the wind spins it. But this is just like a battery powered kind of holder for it since it's inside.
Yes. Okay. Oh, Chris is mentioning that the ClearSight method program is very good to improve your vision. Thank you very much. Let's see. Gio, I took Ainhoa's class and got rid of my glasses, still working on reading, but soon I will be glasses free. Great. Okay. Oh, Chihuahua is making a very interesting comment. Have you noticed that when a person will die soon, her eyes look so different? Yeah, that's a very interesting process. And I've had the honor to be near a number of people when they were close to leaving their bodies. And it's very interesting to notice that process. And indeed, there's a point in which the eyes change. And after the eyes, there's still the sense of touch and the sense of hearing that remains active. And then in the end, you can still feel the energy of the person. She's not conscious anymore, and she's not there anymore, but there's some of the energy that's still available. And that's something very deep about the connection between consciousness and the body. But maybe we're going into different rabbit holes with this question. Now, if you have something to say about this, Nathan, of course, it'll be interesting to hear you as well.
Yeah, I mean, what a fascinating question, and really just kind of also points us in the direction of just thinking about vision beyond just eyesight and what what energy and life is, and how our eyes actually kind of communicate that. And people with a lot of energy and vitality seem to have a shimmer in their eye, and it's kind of like this light. So it's a really interesting question. And I like for people to just kind of ponder these types of things and just keep thinking about what all this means to you.
And if we're going to that direction, it brings us into deeper topics. For example, there's Jacob Lieberman that you see in the film at some point in time. He was also featured in the Global Vision Summit, Natural Vision 2020, bringing a new vision to the world. And in the interview that I did with him at that time, he's an optometrist or a former optometrist, so he could measure himself as often as he wanted. And he started as being myopic. And at some point in time on his journey, he recovered perfect sight, really very clear eyesight at any distance. But if he would measure his eyeballs, the eyeballs were still myopic. And with a number of diopters, not like 0.5 or something. Yeah. But his eyesight was absolutely perfect and is perfect. So this invites us to explore other realms and aspects that I have started exploring a little bit myself with a teacher that teaches eyesight or seeing with a mindfold.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
with your eyes closed and with a mask. And I have started the practices. I have to say that I haven't been like super regular. Probably if I had been, I would be further. But I have already started distinguishing colors without seeing them. Yeah. So this is also asking ourselves how eyesight, perception, our senses are connected to our consciousness, and how we can train it in unexpected ways to have a better and better perception, and what it opens up in our daily life and for meaning, purpose, guidance. And it's possible to go even beyond what we consider normal vision and expand it in different ways. So if it's possible to go beyond normal vision, it's definitely possible to get back to normal vision if we have lost it in a way or another. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, over the holidays, I was watching this amazing footage about this group of people, of blind people using echolocation to see. And it's so amazing, just clicking the tongue and hearing the vibrations, the sound coming back, and then it creates this visual map, and they can ride bikes and navigate, and it's just so amazing what the brain is capable of, even when the vision is, quote, gone. There's still always there may still always be some potential there to reawaken something and work with what you've got.
Absolutely. And when you know why you're doing it, you have a clear motivation and you're inspired and you know it's possible, and you keep the motivation and the practice and you persevere and you're patient, the results are there, especially if you're playful in the process, if you take it as an experiment, as a game, and you don't put pressure on yourself, but you're there more with an exploring attitude. It's definitely possible. Oh, and Daniel is correcting me, and he's saying that we have, between English and Spanish now, over 700 testimonials. So you can see, if somebody in the planet has been able to create that transformation that you're looking for themselves, it means it's possible. So if somebody else has managed to get rid of cataracts, reduce myopia, go from double vision into single vision again, or any other thing, if anybody has been able to do it, then you can. If you have the right information, the right techniques, the right guidance, and you keep the motivation until you get to the goal, you absolutely can. There's more questions also on pinhole glasses and sunning and other practices, where to get the blue filters for the computer and things like that. And I would like to mention, because I don't know how much longer we're going to stay around here, we're going to expand information on all of this during this month of January. So I think we start on the 18th of January with this free 4-part masterclass, Wake Up Your Eyes. And during this process, we're going to deliver 12 hours of training for free. So it's actually a course. People pay hundreds of dollars or euros to get a 12-hour class in person or however, and we're going to do it for free. So if you want to go further and deeper and learn a lot more, including pinhole glasses, how to use them, how to do sunning with more explanations, palming, and some of the core exercises and practices of the Bates method and natural vision improvement, I would like to invite you to join this free 4-part masterclass. And also, before we leave, because we've been here already for 2 hours and a half, if you would like to be in contact with me for any other questions, this is my email, ainhoa@clearsightmethod.com. If you'd like to have more information among the plenty of possibilities that we've mentioned, so we're providing plenty of useful tools and tips in the YouTube channel, the ClearSight Method. Probably you're watching in YouTube, so you can subscribe to get more of this. Of course, if you want to purchase the documentary for life, as we mentioned earlier, we have this link, clearsightmethod.com/documentary. And if people want to contact you, Nathan, shall we give them your contact as well?
Yeah, it's my name, Nathan, @integraleyesight.com. It's my email address. That's also my main website, integraleyesight.com. So that'll link you over to all the podcasts and yeah, all my programs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and in any case, stay connected in a way or another with the community of vision educators. We're very happy to collectively be in synergy for this movement for clarity for the world. And you can give yourself a present. You're in the beginning of the year, new ideas, new habits that you want to develop, new challenges and projects that you want to give yourself for the beginning of the year. This may be a very good present that you may give to yourself. So here we are. The invitation is open, and now it's up to you what you want to do with it. In any case, I'd like to wish you to take care, be happy, enjoy the beauty of life. And I hope that next time I'll see you better, and you will see me better too. Nathan, thank you very much for being here today with us all this time. And thank you and Barry and Craig for having produced this amazing documentary with the participation of so many of our dear and amazing colleagues. Thank you very much
for having us, and thank you for sharing it with your audience today and over the weekend. And hopefully lots of people will keep getting to watch it this week.
Yep, let's hope so. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it very much. I'm seeing plenty of comments saying thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, so spread the word. You can share the link of this documentary. You can share the link of the free masterclass coming up this week. And let's make it all together for a clearer and happier world. So thank you very much, everyone, Nathan, Barry, and see you better and later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.